A question I see a lot of amateur golfers asking is, what do I do to fill the gap between my 3-wood and my first iron? And there's so many choices nowadays. We've got a 5-wood, a 7-wood, a hybrid, a driving iron, a utility iron. Too many choices. TaylorMade have narrowed it down to a few, and they've actually released 2 new ones today. I've got the brand new Stealth DHY and Stealth UDI in my hands today. Predecessors to these were the Sim UDI and DHY. They come at a 2-year cycle, and the previous ones were actually really successful as well. And you will see in the aesthetics of these, there's not actually that much difference. And that's what TaylorMade have been saying. These have been fine-tuned, an upgrade to the predecessor. It's not brand new, it's not completely revolutionary technology. They've added what they've improved on in the last 2 years to these driving irons, just to make them a little bit better. The main technology involved in these wonderful new driving irons and utility irons is that speed foam air that you do have in the P790s. We do now have 3 types of driving irons in play with TaylorMade. We've got the DHY, the UDI, and then we've also got the P790 UDI as well. If you're wondering where the P790 goes, the P790 is the hardest to hit, the one for the lowest handicap players. We've seen Rory McIlroy with this as well. This will produce the lowest spin, the lowest ball flight, the most penetrating possible. But with these 3 selections, it means that they are specific to various golfers' needs. The UDI is, again, more of a penetrating ball flight, not so much as the P790, but it still has low spin with a low to mid ball flight. Compared to the predecessor, the Sim UDI, there is a slightly more defined offset at address, a little bit sleeker, but still quite a confidence-inspiring club. When you compare that to, let's say, the P790, it does look a little bit larger, it definitely does look a little bit more forgiving, but would I be comfortable playing this off the fairway, let's say? I don't think so. It looks like this is more of a off-the-tee club to hit it 250 yards or so. The DHY, however, is a really big improvement, I feel. The last cycle with the Sim DHY, it was a very large and perhaps a little bit of an ugly club down at address. TaylorMade have noticed that, and they've made the crown and the actual offset just a little bit more attractive looking down at it. It's not as large, and it's actually a little bit smoother when you look at the offset itself. This club is extremely versatile, and rather than having a bit of a penetrating ball flight, it's more of a mid ball flight with a little bit more spin. So that means it's going to be actually really forgiving. I imagine for the people watching, you may be more looking at this one rather than the UDI because it's easier to launch, it's not necessarily a target towards people with faster swing speeds, and overall it's just a lot more forgiving. But how I found these in the last few days testing them out. So we're going to hit a few shots with both just here at Manning's Heath on the Kingfisher course and talk about how I've got on with them the last few days. I've got a 2-iron in the UDI and then a 4-iron in the DHY. So of course the DHY is going to launch a little bit higher, but that's going to happen either way because of the different characteristics of each golf club. So aesthetics wise, you'll notice I haven't really talked about them that much because they are largely very similar to the predecessor, the Sim UDI and DHY. The only difference is they've got a splash of red on the face of the club itself, and we've also got the Stealth logo on there. But otherwise, really not too much difference, so there's no real need to talk about them. We've got an Aldila Ascent shaft in there. This also comes in some driver offerings as well, but I do notice with these, they do feel like they're actually quite a lot stiffer. I've got an X Flex and an S Flex, but it feels like the kick point is slightly different to previous stock shafts I have, so I will encourage you guys to get custom fitted as always. It is clear though that we do have a big difference between the DHY UDI and then the P790 as well. I think the DHY is really forgiving for that of a driving iron, something that really does look small and difficult to hit. Let's hit one now. I've got the full swing launch monitor here with me today as well to get some numbers, and I'll put a little shot tracer here as well. I don't particularly think it's that workable, let's say, but God, it goes a really long way. Oh, I hit that one so badly. It's fine, just going into the right side of the fairway. That's good there, because even though that one was an awful strike, it's good to leave those bad ones in, because we can see that it's still okay. And what saved that there just is how forgiving this one is. We've got some decent data for you. You can see with the smash factor there, I really didn't hit that one well at all, but it's got about 220 yards with 3,000 spin. A lot better that one there. Still a little bit low on the face, so I'll be interested to see what those numbers are. A lot better there. So that one's gone 240 yards total, and a little bit still low on the spin with about 3,000 or so, but that's more down to me. So when we switch over to the UDI, we'll probably see that still at an average of about 2,800. So really low penetrating ball flight with some quite low spin. So are you really gonna hold the green with something like that? Perhaps not. But we've just hit 2 shots there with smash factor not great, but both of those are gonna find the fairway. Let's switch over to the UDI quickly. So the UDI, I would say, is for players like me, with perhaps a little bit faster of a swing speed, who really does want a low penetrating ball flight, but then perhaps isn't someone who hits out of the middle every single time. The P790 UDI was great initially, but I noticed that it did give you some instant feedback and it was quite difficult to hit off the toe and out of the heel, something I'm all too common fond of when I'm playing some bad rounds. This, it goes absolutely miles. Similar to the piece of a 90 video I did, this can get up to 280, 290 yards or so. I'll just show you a little image that I did earlier today when I hit it 280 yards off the tee. I think it actually went a little bit further because it was downhill, so about 295 yards. And what I'm noticing is, although it's definitely not as forgiving as the DHY, it does give you a lot more feedback if you hit it out of the toe or out of the heel. It still is quite forgiving for something that doesn't look forgiving at all. And there's an absolute bullet. I'm really interested to see what the numbers are with that one there. Yeah, so I'll show you there. Those numbers are pretty much bang on, with 108 mile an hour or so club head speed, going up to 160 ball speed, and then going to a total of 280 yards. I'm happy you guys have seen that there, because you can see that low spin with that mid launch. That's going to give you a really good club to utilize in some tricky conditions. Let's say the Open Championship in a week or so's time, you're going to see a lot of TaylorMade staff players putting these in play, the UDI especially, because you get a low penetrating ball flight with low spin as well, which means it's going to run for miles. So if I can hit this 280 yards, imagine people like Rory McIlroy, how far that's going to run up in St Andrews. In the time that I've had this, I have been able to mess around with the launch angle a little bit and play with it just a bit different to the DHY, the driving hybrid, because as a UDI, a ultimate driving iron, it is going to have a little bit more versatility or so. So if you are looking for something to shape off the tee, hit right to left, because it is suited towards those lower handicap players, you are going to get that. And that's going to lead to a little bit more dispersion as well. Compared to the driving hybrid, it's going to be a little bit less forgiving, but to be honest, when I'm comparing these two previous iterations, I do think these both are quite forgiving. Let's try and hit it a little bit lower. Now, I'm not good at hitting it low. I managed to do it on the range, which I'll just show you now, which I thought was really impressive, but it took me a few tries. This, though, needs to stay in play. Perfect. I think TaylorMade have made some really good improvements to the Sim UDI and DHY that was released 2 years ago. Would I recommend upgrading if you do have these driving hybrids or utility irons? Probably not, because at £219, I don't think you're going to see £219 worth of changes in these. But if you are in the market for a new driving hybrid or utility iron, these are definitely ones to consider, because I think they really do provide a really good all-around package. And you may notice a little bit more forgiveness in these when you compare them to other brands. But that comes in another video. I really do think a lot of you guys should check out the driving hybrid itself, because if you do have, let's say, a little bit slower of a swing speed, but still want to use something that would constitute a driving iron, the DHY will provide you with some really good launch, but also a really nice ball flight that will make you go a long way. Guys, if you have any questions about the TaylorMade Stealth driving hybrid and the TaylorMade Stealth UDI, let me know down in the comments. And if you did enjoy this video, leave a like down below. If you want to do any more videos with these, such as best driving iron, best driving hybrids of 2022, any comparisons, let me know down in the comments too. That's it for me today, guys, and I'll see you at the next video.